Hi everyone, my name is Derek and welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to make a movie review about the movie The Truman Show. I hope you enjoyed the video and without further ado, let us begin. The film The Truman Show talks about the life of Truman Burbank. In the film, we can see that Truman has been subjected to a live show to which he has no knowledge and of course has not consented. To keep Truman ignorant about his situation, the producers have built around him a fake world filled with actors instead of regular people. We see throughout the movie that Truman has an urge to leave this place, and in this urge he finds out that the place where he lives is a fake world, and eventually he manages to escape. One of the main and obvious themes that the movie talks is this idea of the experiment to which Truman has been subjected. Questions about the nature of this experiment arise. Would we ever reach this stage for the sake of entertaining others? Is this a cruel experiment? And how cruel it is to deprive Truman from the truth and a genuine life as we all supposedly live, and replace that with a life of safety and comfort. In my opinion, I think the idea that others dictate the state of affairs of your life is terrifying and wrong. It contradicts, from my perspective, our natural capacity of taking choices or a decision. When I was reflecting about this movie, I could not help but to make connections with spirituality. The idea that somebody else is controlling the fate of the world. However, I think there is a big difference between the understanding of spirituality, at least as I know it, and what the movie covers. In spirituality, those who are designing and controlling the fate of everything are superior beings with superior knowledge and wisdom. In contrast, in the film of The Truman Show, the one, if you consider that it is only Christoph, that is controlling the fate and state of affairs of Truman, is not a superior being in himself. It is just another person. And if you look at it in the terms of spirituality, they are ranked in the same plane of existence or the same level of existence. Whereas the divine beings of spirituality certainly belong to a higher rank. That is why, although I can see parallels to spirituality in that regard, it is not exactly the same. In other words, those who are controlling the fate of the world in spirituality are divine beings, highly superior than all of us in every aspect. Another great theme touched by the film is about the nature of humankind. We can see that Truman is driven by two forces, love and desire of knowledge. What is his main drive? I don't think the movie made itself clear because it touched both forces throughout the whole movie and did not give any of them the upper hand. He wants to go out and see Sylvia. He even goes to the extent to reconstruct her face from cutting images from magazines. But also we see that since he was a child, he wants to go out and explore the world and find knowledge. The final message in the end is clear, and I think it is very adequate. It is worth more knowing than living a life of supposed comfort. Comfort and safety that will not depend on you, will depend on others. Whereas exploring to find knowledge depends on you. In addition, I like how they represented the symbolism with water as the boundary of what is the known and the path to the unknown, and how we find the meaning of life through exploration and discovery. Another idea that the movie touches evidently is the idea of the Matrix, a fake reality we are supposedly live in. Such ideas have always attracted me and I found them very appealing. As a side note, The Truman Show was released in 1998 and the movie The Matrix was released in 1999. I'm not saying, because I don't know, that The Matrix owes this movie its idea or anything, but I'm just stating that one came before the other. Talking a little more about the idea of The Matrix, I'm fond of the idea of finding out that the world we live in is not the ultimate reality and that what we have to do then becomes a quest of escaping it and finding the truth. I find that very appealing to me. And now I would like to share with you a couple of phrases from the movie that I liked. Both are said by Christoph, the creator. One goes like, "We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented." I find this phrase very powerful and befitting to the movie, because even though it appears to be true, our protagonist does exactly the opposite of that. He questions it. He questions the reality within he lives in. And also it is a very touching phrase to me because I can make some parallels to philosophy. Philosophers do exactly that. Challenge and question the reality they are living in, with the aim to understand it, to find the meaning behind all of this. There may be, I am not sure about this, other people that are satisfied with the reality they are living in and do not question it, simply accept it. But to truly understand it, one has to go on a voyage and sail off to find meaning, which was exactly what Truman did and what philosophers did. So even though it appears to be a maxim, a precept that is unequivocally true, it is not. We can go beyond our so-called accepted reality. The other quote goes like, "If he was absolutely determined to discover the truth, there is no way we could prevent him." I find that phrase hopeful and uplifting. And in the end, we see how Truman proves it to be true in the movie. Regardless of all the obstacles that were put to him, his drive pushed him through. One of the things I omitted to consider in this review was the potential link to a biblical allegory. I'm kind of sure that there is, but I can't be totally sure. I am not an expert in biblical studies. The resemblances for me are the name of the creator, which is Christoph, and the name of Christ. But the thing that sparkled my association between the movie and a biblical relationship was that Truman wants to find knowledge or the truth, and he is prevented to achieving that by the creator Christoph or the producers. And for me, this resembles a bit, I am not sure, I don't know the story, but if I remember it correctly, to the myth of the apple, in a way. And we can see even another relationship that Sylvia could be interpreted as the one who is pushing him to go out and do the prohibited, to find out the truth or to find out knowledge. And this happened in the biblical story that Eve tempted or lured Adam to eat the forbidden apple. Right? I hope I am correct and I am not misinterpreting things. And if I remember correctly, this was the apple of knowledge. Right? Speaking of Sylvia, she was another element I decided not to cover explicitly in this review because I am not completely sure of what she meant. Is she meant to represent love? Is she meant to represent the temptation of finding truth or the motivation of finding truth? I'm not sure how to understand her, and therefore I decided not to make a definite conclusion on it. These are one of my unsolved problems that I couldn't figure out. If you have an answer, I will be very happy to read it in the comments. Oh, and another maybe there is another biblical reference between the storm and the Ark of Noah, but again, I think that is inaccurate. But there it is. If you think I am correct or if you think I am utterly wrong, please make a comment. And now I will make a final score and I'll try to go swiftly. There are 4 categories: acting, music, cinematography, and the story. Beginning with acting, I do not have any complaints. I think everybody did a very great job. The only one that I was not totally convinced with was the boss of Christoph, if I remember it correctly. His performance was unconvincing, but other than that, everyone was excellent. They did a phenomenal job. My favorite actor of the film was evidently Jim Carrey. I think he did a very remarkable job. And Sylvia is also really fine, but I think this time my favorite actress was the wife of Truman. I think she did a phenomenal job. She also appears in the series Ozark. Sylvia did also an excellent job, but I think this time my favorite actress was, as I said, the wife of Truman. I do not have any complaint about the acting, and my final score is going to be a 9.5. The music. The music is good, befitting, and unique, and it matches all the 3 categories or all the 3 aspects that I look for the music in a film production. The only thing I can say about the music is that it did not stay with me after the film was over. My favorite piece was the credit scenes. I think the same piece appeared in the storm scene, but what I truly recall is that it did appear in the last scene and giving way to the credit scenes. That was my favorite piece of music, but yet still didn't stay with me after the film was over. Because of that reason, I am going to give the overall score for the music a 9. The cinematography was good. I didn't pay too much attention to it, unfortunately, so I cannot make a sober reflection about it, but I didn't have any complaints, and I remember I enjoyed what I was watching. I don't think it was a 10, but again, I may be wrong because, as I have said, I was not paying too much attention to it. I was very drawn into the story. But looking in retrospect, I do not have any complaints, and I think everything looked really nice and according to what the movie wanted to convey. And I will give it a 9. The story. The story is divided into 4 categories or subcategories. Let us begin with the first one, which is logic. The logic was flawless, thankfully, because it did not distract me from focusing on the story. I do not have any complaints about the logic, except that in the end, we can see that the ship was turned over, and when the storm calmed down, the ship straightened up again, which for me makes no sense, but I may be wrong on how the physics work on boats. Besides that, I don't think there are other logical flaws, or there were none that I caught this time, and as I said, thankfully, because it allowed me to truly immerse in the story and enjoy it, and it was a very excellent experience. As a result, I will give it a 9.5. The world building. Fantastic job. The world building in itself is a 10, but the only reason why I am not going to give it a 10 is because the world it has built is quite terrifying and dark, and not a world I would like to live in, if so to speak. But if you will consider it only world building in itself, I think in my opinion, it is a 10. Really great job. Just because of that dark theme and the world it has been built, the final product and result is horrifying. Just because of that, I will downgrade the score of 10 to a 9.5. The value it gives. I think this is a film that is truly valuable. It makes you reflect about the nature of humankind. As I've said, the drive for finding knowledge and how this is worth more than living a life of lies but potential pleasure. It is a wonderful masterpiece if that has not been made clear by my review so far. And I think the message of truth and finding meaning in life is awesome. I'm going to give to this subcategory a 10. The personal connection it made with me, I'm going to straight up say it is a 10 because of the reasons aforementioned, such as the drive for knowledge, the finding meaning in life, the incessant desire of finding truth, the concept of a matrix, which has always appealed to me, and the dark nature of the Truman's life that is fake, as I've said, the matrix, and that he wants to escape, and that the society had the range to such a degree to allow that. Everything is just appealing and very powerful, very makes a really connection with me, and as I've said, it is a 10. So for the story category, adding the two 9.5s and the two 10s and dividing them by 4 gives us a result of 9.75. And the story category is worth at 40%. The other three categories are worth the remaining 60%, so 20% for each category. Finally, after doing the math, the final score of this film is a 9.4. When I was reviewing this movie, when I was watching it, I was not thinking about my favorite scenes in particular, so I completely missed that in a sense, but some of my favorite scenes or some of the things I really enjoyed that I can share with you and I think are worth of analysis are the fight scene that Truman has with his wife. I think both actors made an excellent performance. The storm, the sailing and the storm scene, I think it is a very delicate or subtle scene, which I don't think I completely understand in this watch. And I think it has a lot of symbolism, which if you got all the symbolism or etc., I would be very happy to hear you, as I've already said. Another scene that I think is filled with symbolism is the end, where he meets this big wall and the stairway to escape out. And I think that is also a great scene, and another scene that I don't think I understood it properly or completely, and hence I did not want to make a comment about it. Well, that wraps up the video of today. The movie review is over. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope you enjoy the film as well, as you have noticed already. I did, and I think it's a movie worth watching. Let me hear your thoughts about the movies in the comment section down below, and I hope I see you in the next one.